Have you ever felt like life is moving too fast, leaving you struggling to find peace? In a world full of chaos, stress, and uncertainty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But what if the key to true happiness isn't in controlling life, but in letting go? Buddhism teaches us the art of detachment and acceptance, showing that what is meant for us will come at the right time. Through ancient wisdom and powerful stories, we will explore how to release what no longer serves us and embrace life with serenity. Stay with us. This journey may transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. Finding inner peace amid chaos, the power of letting go. Have you ever felt like life is pulling you in too many directions at once? The stress of responsibilities, the weight of expectations, and the uncertainty of the future can make it seem like peace is an impossible dream. We often believe that happiness comes from controlling our lives, but Buddhism teaches a different path, one of acceptance and detachment. It's not about indifference or giving up, rather it's about embracing the present moment without fear or resistance. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with regrets, worries, and expectations. Every step feels harder. Every movement is weighed down. Now picture setting that backpack down and feeling the lightness that follows. That is the freedom of detachment. It is not about running away from life's challenges, but about facing them with a heart that is unburdened. There is an old Buddhist parable about a monk who cherished a porcelain cup given to him by his master. He admired it daily, taking great care to protect it. One day, the cup slipped from his hands and shattered into pieces. He felt a deep sense of loss, but his master simply smiled and said, "That cup was already broken from the beginning." The lesson? Everything in life is temporary. We suffer because we hold on too tightly, whether to objects, relationships, or even versions of ourselves that no longer exist. True peace comes from understanding this impermanence. When we let go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves to a life of greater joy, resilience, and presence. Letting go does not mean that we stop caring. It means we stop clinging. It means loving fully without fear of loss, embracing change without resistance, and trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to. Think about the ocean. It does not hold on to its waves, it lets them rise and fall naturally. Life, too, moves in cycle. There are times of growth, times of loss, and times of renewal. By accepting these changes, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. So how can we begin to practice this detachment in daily life? Recognize what is beyond your control. Some things are simply out of our hands. Rather than fighting them, focus on what you can change, your mindset, your actions, and your reactions. Live in the present moment. Worrying about the future or dwelling on the past keeps us from fully experiencing the beauty of now. Embrace change as a natural part of life. Everything evolves, including us. Instead of resisting change, see it as an opportunity for growth. Practice gratitude. When we appreciate what we have without fearing its loss, we find true contentment. Buddhism teaches us that detachment is the key to inner peace, a peace that does not depend on external circumstances but comes from within. As we learn to let go, we discover a newfound freedom, the ability to truly live. Stay with us, because the journey to peace is just beginning. The art of detachment. Finding freedom in letting go. Have you ever held on to something so tightly, afraid that if you let go you would lose part of yourself? Maybe it was a relationship, a job, or even an idea of who you thought you should be. We cling to things, believing they bring us security, but in reality, this attachment often leads to suffering. Buddhism teaches us that true peace comes not from holding on, but from learning to let go. There is a well-known Buddhist parable about a monk who treasured a porcelain cup his master had given him. He admired its beauty, kept it safe, and took great care of it. But one day, the cup fell and shattered into 1,000 pieces. Heartbroken, the monk turned to his master for comfort. The master simply smiled and said, "That cup was already broken from the beginning." The monk realized that his suffering did not come from losing the cup, it came from his attachment to it. This story reflects a deep truth about life. Everything is temporary. Yet we resist this reality. We attach ourselves to people, expectations, and possessions, believing that they define us. But when we depend on external things for happiness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. A relationship may change, a job may end, and our youth will fade. The more we resist these changes, the more we suffer. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean we stop caring or that we should avoid love and joy. Instead, it means loving freely, without fear of loss. It means appreciating what we have in this moment, without trying to hold on to it forever. When we embrace impermanence, we find a deeper sense of security, not from controlling everything, but from accepting that change is inevitable. Think of a river. It does not cling to the water that passes through it, it simply flows. Life is the same. When we learn to flow with change rather than resist it, we become lighter, freer, and more at peace. So how can we practice detachment in our daily lives? Recognize what is out of your control. You cannot stop time, control how others feel, or prevent change from happening. But you can choose how you respond. Live in the present. Instead of worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, focus on what is happening now. The present moment is the only one that truly exists. Let go of expectations. Many disappointments come from expecting life to unfold in a certain way. When we release these expectations, we open ourselves to greater possibilities. Appreciate what you have without clinging to it. Enjoy your relationships, your success, and your experiences fully, but understand that they may not last forever. When we stop fighting against the natural flow of life, we discover something powerful, freedom. By letting go, we are no longer controlled by fear, loss, or change. Instead, we gain something much greater: peace, acceptance, and the ability to truly live. Stay with us as we continue exploring how detachment can lead to a more fulfilling, joyful life. Radical acceptance, the path to true freedom. Have you ever wished life would unfold exactly as you plan? We create visions of how things should be. Our careers, relationships, and even our own personal growth. But when life takes a different turn, we resist. We fight against reality, convinced that things shouldn't be this way. This resistance is what causes suffering, not the events themselves, but our refusal to accept them. Buddhism teaches that radical acceptance is the key to peace. Imagine standing in the ocean, watching a powerful wave approach. You have two choices: fight against it or surrender, and let it carry you. The wave will come either way. Resisting it will exhaust you, while flowing with it will allow you to move forward. Too often we resist reality because we believe acceptance means giving up. We fear that if we accept a difficult situation, we are allowing it to define us. But acceptance is not resignation, it is clarity. It is about seeing things exactly as they are, without denial or unnecessary suffering, so that we can respond wisely. There is a Buddhist story of an archer who was highly skilled in aiming his arrow. He calculated every angle, factored in the wind, and perfected his technique. But despite his expertise, there were still things beyond his control. The sudden shift of the wind, the movement of his target. He could either become frustrated or adapt and adjust his aim. Life is much the same. We can either waste energy wishing things were different, or we can adjust, adapt, and move forward with wisdom. So how do we practice radical acceptance? Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective turns obstacles into opportunities for growth. Recognize what you can and cannot change. Some things are within your control. your actions, your mindset, but many things are not. Other people's decisions, the past, or the uncertainties of the future. Focus on what you can influence. Let go of resistance. The more you fight against reality, the more you suffer. Acceptance does not mean you approve of a situation. It simply means you acknowledge that it exists and can now act with clarity. Find the lesson in every experience, just as the archer adjusts his aim. We too can adapt to life's unexpected turn. Each moment, no matter how difficult, carries a lesson that can shape us for the better. When we stop resisting, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. We begin to live with lightness, responding to life rather than reacting in frustration. Like the ocean's waves, life will keep moving. Whether we resist or flow with it is our choice. So will you keep fighting the waves, or will you allow them to carry you towards something greater? The choice is yours. Trusting life's process. Let go and let life unfold. How many times have you felt that life was unfair, that a setback, a failure, or a sudden loss was the worst thing that could happen? But later, when you look back, you realize that what seemed like a misfortune was actually a hidden blessing. Life has a way of taking away what no longer serves us and bringing us exactly what we need, if only we learn to trust its process. There is a well-known Buddhist parable about a monk, his son, and a wild horse. One day, a beautiful horse wandered into their land. The villagers exclaimed, "What good luck! A horse like this is a treasure." But the monk simply said, "Luck or misfortune, who knows?" Later, his son tried to ride the horse, fell off, and broke his leg. The villagers cried, "What a terrible misfortune!" Again, the monk calmly replied, "Luck or misfortune, who knows?" A few weeks later, a war broke out, and all the young men in the village were drafted, except for the monk's son, who was spared because of his injury. The villagers, amazed, said, "How lucky you are!" But the monk only smiled, repeating, "Luck or misfortune, who knows?" This story reminds us that we do not see the full picture in the moment. We label events as good or bad based on our limited understanding, but everything in life is connected. What feels like a loss today might be a blessing in disguise. We often try to rush or force outcomes because we fear uncertainty. But just like a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon, every challenge has its purpose. If someone helps the butterfly by opening the cocoon too soon, its wings will never develop the strength needed to fly. The struggle is part of the process. Similarly, when we try to force things, be it relationships, success, or personal growth, we may unknowingly prevent ourselves from developing the strength we need. So how do we learn to trust life's process? Pause before judging any situation. Instead of labeling something as bad, ask yourself, what if this is leading me to something better? Let go of the need for immediate answers. Not everything makes sense right away, but with time, clarity will come. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Just like the butterfly needs its struggle, every hardship is strengthening you in ways you may not see yet. Remind yourself that life is always working for you, not against you. Even when things fall apart, they may be making space for something greater to unfold. When you stop resisting and start trusting, you will find peace in uncertainty. Life has a rhythm, a wisdom that is beyond our immediate understanding. So let go of control, trust the process, and allow life to unfold exactly as it should. Meditation as a tool for peace, a path to inner calm. In today's fast-paced world, our minds are constantly bombarded with distractions, endless notifications, responsibilities, and worries about the future. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or even lost in the chaos. But what if there was a simple way to quiet the noise, reduce stress, and find deep inner peace? That tool exists, and it has been used for thousands of years: meditation. Buddhism teaches that our thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky. Some days the sky is clear and bright. Other days dark storm clouds appear. But no matter how many clouds pass through, the sky itself remains unchanged. The sky is your awareness, your true self, calm, steady, and infinite. Meditation helps us detach from fleeting thoughts and return to this deeper awareness where true peace resides. Science now confirms what Buddhist monks have known for centuries. Meditation has profound benefits. It lowers stress, improves focus, strengthens the immune system, and even rewires the brain for greater emotional resilience. But beyond these benefits, meditation teaches us something even more important: impermanence. Every thought, emotion, and struggle is temporary. Pain, stress, and anxiety arise and pass just like clouds. When we stop clinging to them, we free ourselves from suffering. So how can you start using meditation as a tool for peace? Here are 3 powerful techniques. Breath meditation. One of the simplest yet most powerful forms of meditation. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your nostrils. If your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to your breath. With practice, this calms the mind and strengthens focus. Gratitude meditation. Every day, take a few moments to reflect on what you are grateful for. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, focus on the abundance already present in your life, your health, relationships, nature's beauty, or even small everyday joys. This practice shifts your mindset from stress to appreciation. Letting go meditation. If something is weighing on your heart, a past mistake, a painful memory, or an anxious thought, imagine holding it in your hands. With each deep exhale, visualize releasing it into the wind, allowing it to drift away. This practice helps free you from emotional burdens and embrace peace. Meditation isn't about stopping thoughts, it's about learning not to be controlled by them. Over time, as you cultivate stillness within, you'll notice something remarkable. Problems that once consumed you no longer hold power over you. You respond to life with greater clarity, patience, and serenity. So take a deep breath, let go of resistance. Allow meditation to guide you back to the peaceful sky that has always been within you. Letting go of control, finding freedom in surrender. Imagine hanging from a tree branch over a steep cliff, gripping with all your strength. Terrified of the fall. You feel exhausted, your fingers aching, fear clouding your thoughts. You hold on because you believe letting go means disaster. But what if you looked down and saw solid ground just a few feet below? What if your fear of falling was the only thing keeping you trapped? This is the message of an old Buddhist story. We often cling to control out of fear, when in reality, letting go is what will save us. We believe that if we plan enough, predict enough, or work hard enough, we can force life to go exactly as we want. But Buddhism teaches that clinging to control creates suffering. Life is like a river. It moves constantly, shifting in ways we can't always predict. If we try to resist the current, we exhaust ourselves. But if we learn to flow with it, we find peace. How often do we struggle against things we can't change? We hold on to relationships that no longer serve us, jobs that make us unhappy, expectations that only bring disappointment. We fear that if we let go, we'll lose something important, when in reality, we're only holding ourselves back. The truth is, not everything is within our control, and that's okay. The more we try to force life into our own rigid expectations, the more we suffer. But what if we approached life differently? Instead of seeing uncertainty as something to fear, we could view it with curiosity. What new opportunities will life bring? What lessons will arise from the unexpected? Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We could ask, what is this teaching me? Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means accepting that some things are beyond us, and trusting that whatever happens, we can handle it. It's about taking action where we can, but not obsessing over what we can't change. Like an archer releasing an arrow, we aim, we do our best. But once the arrow is in the air, we must let it fly. Here's how you can start letting go today. Recognize what is in your control and what is not. Ask yourself, is this something I can change? If yes, take action. If not, practice acceptance. Shift your mindset from resistance to trust. Life has a way of unfolding as it should. When something doesn't go as planned, trust that something better is on its way.
Practice mindfulness. Meditation can help you observe your thoughts without getting lost in them, allowing you to release anxiety and embrace the present moment. Life will never go exactly as we expect, but when we stop clinging, we start living. When we release the branch, we realize we were never truly falling. We were simply learning to fly.
The weight of resentment. The power of compassion. Imagine walking through life carrying a heavy sack of stones on your back. Each stone represents a grudge, a past mistake, a resentment you've been holding on to. With every step, the weight grows heavier, yet you refuse to let go. Why? Because you believe holding on to these emotions protects you, perhaps from being hurt again, perhaps from forgetting the pain. One day a Buddhist monk sees you struggling and asks, "Why are you carrying such a heavy burden?" You reply, "These stones are my anger, my regrets, my pain. If I let them go, it would mean what happened to me didn't matter." The monk smiles gently and says, "But by holding on to them, you are only hurting yourself." This story illustrates one of the most powerful Buddhist teachings. Resentment does not punish the person who wronged us. It only punishes ourselves. We often hold on to past wounds, thinking that anger gives us control, but in reality it chains us to suffering. Self-compassion, the foundation of healing. But what about the resentment we direct toward ourselves? Many of us are our own harshest critics, punishing ourselves for mistakes long past, replaying failures in our minds like a movie on repeat. We tell ourselves we should have known better. We should have done better. But what good does this self-punishment do? Does it help us improve? Or does it only deepen our suffering? Buddhism teaches that self-compassion is not weakness. It is strength. A tree does not grow stronger by being struck, but by being watered with patience. Likewise, true growth comes not from self-criticism, but from self-acceptance. Think about how you would comfort a dear friend who was struggling. Would you shame them, call them a failure? No. You would offer kindness, encouragement and support. Yet when we make mistakes, we rarely extend ourselves the same kindness. Why should we treat ourselves with less compassion than we would give to a friend? Letting go of anger. The path to freedom. Holding on to anger, whether toward others or ourselves, is like clutching a burning coal with the intent of throwing it at someone. We are the ones who get burned first. Letting go of anger doesn't mean forgetting or justifying what happened. It means freeing ourselves from the pain it continues to cause. So, how can we begin to let go? Recognize that anger and resentment do not serve you. Ask yourself, is holding on to this making my life better, or is it only making me suffer? Practice self-compassion daily. When self-criticism arises, challenge it. Replace harsh words with kindness. Forgive not because others always deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about unburdening yourself from pain. When you put down the sack of stones, you realize you never needed to carry them in the first place. Compassion toward yourself and others is not just an act of kindness, it is the key to freedom. Bringing Buddhist wisdom into everyday life, a path to peace. Many of us seek inner peace, but struggle to find it amidst daily challenges. We get attached to things, resist change, fear uncertainty, and let stress take over our lives. But what if peace isn't something we find, but something we cultivate? Buddhism offers practical teachings that can transform how we experience life, not as a series of struggles, but as a journey toward greater clarity, balance and fulfillment. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by stress, burdened by expectations, or frustrated by things beyond your control, then these Buddhist principles can guide you toward a calmer, freer way of living. Practice detachment. Appreciate, but don't cling. It's easy to become attached to people, possessions or even an idea of how life should be, but attachment leads to suffering, because everything in life is impermanent. The job you love, the relationships you cherish, the success you work for, none of it is permanent, and clinging to them only creates fear of loss. Buddhist wisdom doesn't tell us to avoid love or enjoyment. It simply encourages us to appreciate things without depending on them. Love deeply but without possession. Enjoy what you have, but with the understanding that everything changes. This mindset shifts us from living in fear of loss to truly appreciating the present. Accept life as it is. Resistance creates suffering. How many times have you wished things were different, that a situation had turned out another way, that people behave differently? We resist reality because we want control, but resistance only creates more suffering. Instead, radical acceptance means acknowledging that life unfolds on its own terms. This doesn't mean you stop striving for change or self-improvement. It means you stop fighting against what already is. When you accept situations as they are, you can respond wisely and calmly, rather than reacting out of frustration. 3. Trust in life's process. Don't label events as good or bad too quickly. A job loss, a failed relationship, an unexpected challenge. We often rush to judge experiences as bad, without realizing they might lead to something better. A Buddhist parable tells of a monk who remained calm no matter what happened, always saying good luck or bad luck. Who knows? Many times what we see as misfortune is actually a doorway to something greater. When you stop labeling events as purely good or bad, you open yourself up to trusting life's process. The setbacks you face today might be the very things that guide you toward a better path tomorrow. Meditate daily. Cultivate inner peace from within. We live in a world full of distractions, stress, and external noise. Meditation is the antidote. It's not about stopping thoughts, but about observing them without getting caught up in. A simple practice: find a quiet space, close your eyes and focus on your breath. Notice your thoughts without attachment, like watching clouds drift by. Start with just 5 minutes a day, and gradually increase. Over time, meditation helps you react less and understand more. You become less controlled by stress and more connected to the peace that already exists within you. 5. Let go of control. Stop forcing outcomes. Trying to control everything is exhausting and ultimately impossible. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from letting go. Imagine holding onto a rope tightly, afraid to release it. The tighter you grip, the more painful it becomes. But the moment you let go, relief follows. Life works the same way. We don't have control over everything, but we do have control over how we respond. When we stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with life, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. 6. Practice compassion toward yourself and others. We are often our own worst critics, holding on to guilt, resentment, and self-judgment. But what if instead of punishing ourselves, we chose compassion? Being kind to yourself is not an excuse, it's a foundation for growth. When you practice self-compassion, you make space for healing and change. Likewise, when you show compassion to others, even those who have wronged you, you free yourself from anger and resentment. A simple way to practice: ask yourself, if a friend made the same mistake you did, how would you comfort them? Now, offer yourself the same kindness. A new way of living. The choice is yours. Buddhism is not just a philosophy, it's a way of living. The more you apply these principles, the more peace, clarity, and fulfillment you will experience. So today, choose one principle to whether it's practicing detachment, accepting life as it is, trusting the process, meditating, letting go of control, or showing compassion. Small changes lead to big transformations. Your journey toward inner peace starts now. Will you take the first step? Life is a journey, not a destination. Embracing growth with awareness. We often think of life as a series of milestones, a destination we must reach to feel fulfilled, successful, or enlightened. But what if the true meaning of life isn't about arriving somewhere, but about how we walk the path itself? Buddhism teaches that enlightenment is not a single moment of realization, nor is it reserved for a chosen few. Instead, it is a daily practice of awareness, a way of seeing the world with clarity
acceptance and wisdom. No matter where you are in life, you are already on the path. The question is, how are you walking it? Learning is non-linear. Growth comes in waves. One of the biggest misconceptions about personal growth is that it should be a straight line upward. That once we learn a lesson, we never struggle with it again. But in reality, growth is non-linear. You may feel strong and at peace one day, only to feel overwhelmed the next. You may practice mindfulness for weeks, only to fall back into stress and negativity. This is normal. Think of life like the ocean. Waves rise and fall. The tide comes and goes. Some days you will flow effortlessly with wisdom. Other days you will struggle. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, see them as part of the process. The goal is not to be perfect. It is to keep moving forward with awareness. Experience is the best teacher. It's easy to read about Buddhist wisdom, to watch videos or to reflect on these ideas intellectually. But true transformation doesn't come from knowledge alone. It comes from living these teachings in real life. You can understand that attachment leads to suffering, but until you experience the pain of holding on to something too tightly, and the peace of letting go, the lesson remains theoretical. You can understand that forgiveness brings freedom, but until you actually let go of a past resentment and feel the lightness in your heart, the concept is just words. True wisdom comes not from reading, but from experience. So rather than just absorbing these teachings, ask yourself, how can I apply this today? Where in my life am I resisting, rather than flowing? What small action can I take right now to live with more awareness? The journey itself is the reward. So many people chase happiness, success, or enlightenment as if they are finish lines. But the truth is, there is no finish line. The journey itself is where life happens. You don't need to be perfect to be at peace. You don't need to have everything figured out to live with joy. You simply need to be present, open, and willing to learn along the way. Buddhism reminds us, there is nowhere else to be but here. There is no moment more important than now. So embrace this journey, not as a race to be won, but as a path to be walked with awareness, patience, and an open heart. The art of living with peace and acceptance. As we grow older, life teaches us an undeniable truth. Everything changes. Relationships evolve. Our bodies age, and circumstances shift in ways we never expected. The Buddhist teachings of detachment, acceptance, and trust offer a powerful way to navigate these changes with grace and peace. Instead of resisting what we cannot control, we can embrace life as it is. When we let go of attachment, we stop suffering over things that were never meant to stay. When we practice radical acceptance, we free ourselves from frustration and begin to see each challenge as an opportunity for growth. And when we trust life's process, we recognize that even setbacks have a purpose. Happiness is not found in controlling every outcome, but in living fully in the present, appreciating each moment as it comes. Whether it's through mindfulness, meditation, or self-compassion, we can choose to walk through life with lightness, instead of carrying unnecessary burdens. At 35 and beyond, life is no longer about chasing, but about deepening, appreciating, and finding peace in what is already here. When we surrender to the flow of life, we discover that true fulfillment has been within us all along.